Professor of Honor Foundation. So, yeah, he's going to be with us today and just be asking you a couple questions and just more or less and then sharing with you some tips. So, please tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Fehintoluwa Dahunsi. I have a dog. I have no other pets. That's how not to introduce yourself for a video interview, in case you're wondering. I'm a software developer. I'm a software developer in test with currently working with Andela. Right. So basically, what I do, I like to describe what I do as enabling companies to ship quality products consistently. You know, and then that means building processes, building frameworks, infrastructure, right, that enables the company to be able to confidently, consistently ship a quality product. And most often that involves testing another developer's work, and that can be very, very interesting because you are interfacing with the ego, with lots of other people at the same time, and it can be quite the experience. But yeah.
I really too. I feel like that was a little over the head of a lot of creatives out there. So let's talk about how you got started. How did you get started? Where are you coming from?
Alright, so the question of how I got started in my current career track, right? You can address it from 2 points. But I'd say the more relevant part is an internship. So at the beginning of my career, I was more focused on the entrepreneurial aspect. So I had a firm, Yata Consultancy. We're basically building out, software products for companies, right? I was running that, so we would get clients, build our products and then ship those products. But at some point, I had an internship with Alat by Wema, an amazing place to work, by the way. And that was really my first experience with, the enterprise, right? So it was like, okay, so going from leading my own team, right, working on my own to working for an enterprise, which was pretty experience, and that really helped me solidify a lot of my foundations. And going from there, I realized, okay, I actually enjoy, doing the enterprise thing. So did from our lab moved on to crossover for work. That was the multinational firm, that basically provided software development services to other companies, but the companies were also internal. But that's a lot of detail.
So at the core of what you studied in is software development.
Software development, yeah.
So that's for layman people, that's coding.
Yes, programming.
How do you get programming?
Yeah. Yes.
How do you get started with that? What language did you start with?
Okay, good. So yeah, that was I said earlier that there are 2 ways I could start. Yeah. So the second part would be that, or how did I start? So it was a competition, funny enough. Yeah, the National ICT Olympiad. Yeah, that was in 2015, 2014.
That was before you entered uni?
Yeah, way before I entered uni.
Yeah,
so I entered university. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. It's very helpful. Yeah, but I started with a couple of years of experience before entering university. So that's also a large part of why I am where I am, right? Because for a lot of people, there's a disconnect. Because how are you in university and you are working at this level? But I didn't start in the university, so like my entrepreneurial career, my career in general, runs side by side with my education. So you can't use that as.
It's Python first.
No, funny enough.
C++.
No, JavaScript.
Wow.
Yeah, JavaScript was my first proper language. So I started with HTML, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So what they did was they taught us web design, basic web design, and graphics design.
What?
This is nothing but a mad joke. It can't be possible.
And that is why since then I actually went to graphics at one point too. Like I did, the whole Photoshop thing, go online, look for you look for all this. I think it was official. This had like all these word arts, like where they do like different layers of effects or stuff like that. And I actually really enjoyed it, but I just felt like it wasn't really my thing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But it could also be because I was making a lot more money from software development, so that kind of. So passion tends to flow in the direction of finances sometimes. Yeah.
Anyway, so the whole coding career thing, how are you able to? I think you already spoke about how you progress, but then in terms of the hard skill of coding, how are you able to grow?
Okay, so I'd say something that has characterized my entire journey, right? It's a verse from the Bible, right? It says, "Study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed," right? Rightly dividing the word of truth. So that last part isn't what applies here is study to show yourself approved. So it has been a journey of consistently and constantly studying above and beyond what I always say that you can't expect to have results different from what people are having if you're not doing work that's different from what other people are doing. So, there was a point in my life where, and it's even till now, right, it's still, even as I have like full-time job and everything, and work and school, still make a consistent effort. So, would wake up every morning at certain period of time, and then for the next 2 hours, just learning, nothing else. I think actually in the beginning, I was doing more like 4 hours daily, constantly, every single day. I was just doing that, and that really helped me upskill rapidly. I'd say, yeah, that has really helped me progress. And research, yeah.
So how would you advise people who are looking to get into because everybody wants to be a tech bro or a tech sister.
I know.
So how do you advise people who are looking to come into this space in terms of direction for learning and how they can better position themselves? So, I mean, you're working with a multinational or an international brand actually. So how would you tell or advise people? What would your advice for them be?
That's a very good question. So, like, I see a lot of people coming into the space, right? And what my advice for them be? I think first things first, I'd say that don't be overwhelmed. Like, there is enough space in the market for you, to be quite honest. Like, if you're putting in the work, there are enough companies that are willing to work with you. So there's no space. So never feel as if you're just joining the bandwagon. Are you actually going to get a job? But the thing is, understand very clearly your reasons for joining tech, right? Why are you doing tech? Are you doing tech solely and purely because of money? Do you have a passion for tech? Do you have an interest in tech? What are your reasons? Know thyself, so understand your own motivations, and that would help you that would help you gauge your actions or your reactions to certain things. Now, this is really important. Do projects. So, a common error I see when you come into tech is that people approach tech like a degree, or like law, or like medicine. It's not a degree. Like, it's not medicine where like you're in the medical field where you study for X amount of years, right? And
X plus
X, and you are then certified to work. Tech isn't like that. Tech, honestly, I'd say that you start working in tech when you feel you're ready. Like, after you have a certain baseline of knowledge, right? And most of the time, you can acquire that knowledge within 1 to 3 months, right? Okay, let's say 2 months, and let's say 3 months, right? That's a good estimation. You can acquire that knowledge. Now, take it and start to work. You don't get, even going to a boot camp, even if you have to go to a boot camp and you graduate, you do not yet have enough knowledge, in quotes. You will never have enough knowledge, because, I mean, when I started 5 years ago, what was Kubernetes? Like, there was Kubernetes, right? So that's like it's basically something more more development like related, right? But it was there, but it wasn't a big thing, right? Right now, if you are working in the field, you are expected, like if you're working in certain levels, nobody expects you not to know how to use containers or stuff like that, right? So, and then these things might make more, but the point is, you never stop learning. So people tend to cripple themselves in tech by continually learning and learning and learning and learning. I'd say once you have a baseline of knowledge, once you can build something, build it. The way you validate your knowledge in tech, and I think in most things in life, but the way you validate your knowledge is actually build something. Are you a designer? Design something. Developer? Develop something. QA? Look for something to test, And it doesn't have to be something that pays you a lot of money, but do something. Yeah.
So I know that you are in, you're big on LinkedIn and properly positioning yourself and all that. So for professionals, including myself, how can we better harness LinkedIn and to get more job opportunities, more project opportunities? How just give us like a 101 basics of how to use LinkedIn properly.
Okay, that makes sense. So, for context sake, right? I can't exactly. It's been quite a while since I had to apply for a job. I think I'd say about, I'm not to exaggerate, say about once in every 2 weeks, I get a job offer on LinkedIn. I get somebody saying, "Oh, we've seen your profile. We like your profile. We'd like you to interview with us." So, like, more often than not, it's me not taking roles, right, than actively looking for roles. There's a way that you can get to, like, LinkedIn is a powerful platform. In fact, social media in general is a powerful platform, right? Because it doesn't matter how good what you're doing is if people don't know that you are doing it, you know. So visibility is always very important in whatever aspect of sphere you're in. My dad calls it being top of mind, right? So if a client is thinking, I want to get X and X done, are you the first name that comes to their head, right? Who is the first name that comes to their head? So that's really important. So what I'd say about LinkedIn is, I said there's almost a formula for it. First things first, have connections, right? Connections are super important on LinkedIn because connections determine who can see you, who you can see. Because if you don't have the right connections on LinkedIn, there are times that you look at profiles and then you don't see LinkedIn member. You can't even see the profile, and the person can almost definitely not see you unless maybe they have a premium subscription or something. Because because LinkedIn works on the basis of connections. So if there's one thing I'd say to anybody that you want to do LinkedIn, get to 500 plus connections. And it's actually more doable than people think it is, right? It's just being consistent. So give yourself a target. Maybe every day I want to do 10 connections, 5 connections, 20 connections, do it. And I've had people who've done it and it works. And the amazing thing about LinkedIn is that it gathers momentum. So the more connections you have, the more visible you are to people, you know. And then so you get to a point where people start to send you connection requests. So at this point is where my profile is now, you know. It's now, okay, do I want to accept all the connection requests, all of that stuff like that. So yeah. What I'd say is start with your close network, right? So who are the people around you? If you're in school, university, start with your classmates, start with everybody you know. So just think every single name you know, go to LinkedIn, type their name in, send them a connection request, you know. And then oftentimes when you send them connection requests, LinkedIn will then suggest to you connections of connections, you know, so you can grow your network organically that way. Then really important. So this is something that helped me a lot. Now, and I'll say it's a large part of why I get a lot of offers. It is aim for people who are in, for example, aim for recruiters. If you're a software developer, aim for recruiters in your field. If you are for the connections, right? See if you can. So for people like that, right, it might be more involved, right? You have to send them a message. Oh, hi, I would like to pack on your network, blah 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 blah. I've seen what you're doing. I read some of your articles. I think it's amazing. So you know you have to put in more effort for them. But the more people like that you have in your network, the more visible you are to other people within that space. So if you're visible to the people who are looking for talent, right, then it's more likely that you get. You understand? So perfect. So that's really what you want to do. You want to try and have connections that are within those spaces, and again the same effects will apply. The more you have, the easier it comes. The more you have, the easier it comes. The more you have, the easier it comes. So first things first, connections. Then optimize your profile. You know, have every single thing that. So LinkedIn lets you put 50 plus skills, 50 skills in your skill section. Fill it. There's no reason why you should not fill it, you know. Like, put as many skills as you can out there, because oftentimes recruiters search for search for talent based on skills, right? So put your I think I'm being too specific on tech, right? Because that's how tech people look for things. So if you are in a creative space, put out your portfolio.
Okay. Is there like a place for that?
Yes. So LinkedIn has a place, like there's a feature called featured projects. You know, so yeah, you could put your top 3 best projects. Just put them there. Yeah.
Never knew that.
Yeah. So
I'll be uploading mine.
looking forward to that. So the first thing anybody sees when they go to your profile are those featured projects, right? Okay. And then have engagement, right? So one thing that people do is when they go to your profile, they can see the last couple of things you did, so they can see what kind of posts you are engaging, and then from there they can build a mental framework. This is probably what this kind of person is like, you know. So be deliberate about the posts you engage with, right? But do engage, do make comments, do give valid, reasonable comments. And I assume most people know this, but LinkedIn is not Facebook, LinkedIn is not Instagram. So it's a professional space, right? And then especially if you're looking out for clients on LinkedIn, you really want to project your professional image. Your your social brand can be expressed on other platforms, but if you're going to be on LinkedIn, I'd say even if you're going to be social, keep it social with a professional bent, right? So I think those are just a few things. I'd say engagement, connections, your portfolio. If you're in tech, for example, where you have your work experience, highlight what you did there, and then you don't have to do it like a CV. In a CV, really important, your summary. Now, the fact is, most people who look at your LinkedIn profile, your summary is one of the few things they read, right? One of the first and few things that they read, and that informs how they look at the rest of the profile. Criminal offense, using the stock LinkedIn summary, right? Something professional with blah blah. Like anybody who has used LinkedIn, and most people looking for talents on LinkedIn knows that that's the stock summary, and it means you're lazy, and it's rather uninspiring. It doesn't tell me anything about you, so it's not enough. So I remember that was something that took me a lot of time. You need to take out time, invest time in crafting the proper summary for your LinkedIn page. You can look at my LinkedIn page for inspiration. I'm rather proud of it. But yeah, it can be personable. Like it should kind of show for your personality, because the truth is, people do not just hire skills; they hire people. So they want to know that they can like you. I'll say it anytime, any day. Likability plays a large effect or a large role in interviews, right? Especially video interviews. So, you can be personable, be approachable. Write a summary that's basically really fun to read. Write something that you'd love to read, and then I'd say the principle for writing anything, not just a LinkedIn summary, is within the first few sentences you need to have what is called the hook, right? So, what is that thing that is there that will cause people to continue reading the rest of your summary? Because attention spans and everything. So if you have within your first few sentences something that catches their attention, right, it means that they can read the rest of your summary where you pitch yourself to them. And so often human beings, you've had a confirmation bias, right, where we look for information that supports what we already believe, right? Now, if you sell the proper impression in your summary, what will tend to happen is that people will look at the rest of your profile with that positive. So they are looking for the positive things in your summary to prove or to validate. Yeah, you understand. So your summary can make or break your entire LinkedIn impression on somebody for the first time. So it shouldn't be too long, but do invest the time. It's really important. Invest the time in writing a good LinkedIn summary. So yeah.
All right. So what gist do you have? Having worked with international brands and big companies, basically. So I imagine you guys have seen a lot. So what gist do you have? What goes on in the tech development space?
Funny enough, right? When I saw, like at first I was thinking that I didn't really have any gist, right? But thinking about it now, there's something that comes to my head. See, I think the first one that is really amazing every time is the reaction of people, right? When you tell them I work at Andela. So there's people that have no idea what Andela is. Like, oh, okay, that's nice, right? Because they know it's supposed to be nice. And then there's those people. So I was giving a speech at one seminar, and then this guy was talking, and he has to emphasize it that he's working at Andela. That Andela, you guys don't know how that is, So like that's the other side of the structure, and it can be really, really amusing sometimes. We say Andela is $1 billion company, blah blah blah. So yeah. Yeah. So there's that. But I think one of the having worked, there's this way that American companies and Nigerian companies approach your time. Nigerian companies tend to act as if the moment you work for them. Okay, that's a generalization. I admit it's a generalization. But oftentimes there are lots of companies that act as if the moment you work for them, your whole life is for them. Like you have nothing else. Like I hear like you work on Saturdays, you work on Sundays, you work every single day of the week. I've never seen that in an international company, not once. And I worked with a couple, not once. And most international companies, even the ones that don't give you unlimited PTO, right, unlimited paid time off, you can just wake up and tell your manager, oh, I need to take a sick day today. That's all. Like the first time I said that,
So, but then it's expected, right? So there's a certain level of trust, and there's this thing about trust in the workplace that it encourages you to reciprocate, right? That if this person is trusting, or this company is trusting that if I say I need a sick day, then I need a sick day, then it encourages you to reciprocate by not taking sick days if you do not need sick days, But then it's also really helpful because you know that you can perform at your best, because if you cannot perform that day, it's as simple as saying, hey, I need to take a day off, and you're good. Come back. In fact, so culture shock. I remember the very first time that one of the first times I told my manager that, this was when I was working at new classrooms, right? Carly Edwards, lovely woman, and I told her that I needed a day off. I wasn't feeling well. And she was like, "Oh no, take more days off. Are you sure you're fine today?" Hey, are you sure? Like, I was really. And then when I came back, she was still insisting, "Are you sure you're fine? You sure you don't need more days off?" and all of that. So it was a huge culture shock, right? Because you would think that coming from the manager would be like, "Oh, Benny, what are you doing?" Yeah, so like that was really nice. What else? I think those a couple of things that I say culture shock. Another interesting fact, right, is I have never experienced racism in the workplace, right? Because most of the people I work with, a lot of people I tend to work with are, people from foreigners and everything, Americans, Indians, and so this is not to say that it does not exist, right? And then it could also be that because Andela, let me finish something when I say why it is, but like people tend to react to you on the basis of pure competence. Are you good? Are you not good? It's as simple as that. There's no question of because you are whatever it is that you're not good coming into the bat, like off the bat. I have never, like, it was so pronounced that it was when I realized that I've never actually had this. I had to say that's when I realized that it hadn't happened, like going back over everything. So it's always been really interesting. So people will treat you on basis of your competence, and I think that's really beautiful. It could also be that Andela tends to pick companies that are, at least the ones I've worked with, right? They tend to be diverse. They tend to be inclusive. So I've been on teams where there are people from almost every corner of the globe. There's Indians, there's people from are they Spanish, there's Brazilians, a couple of other, Asians too as well. So like quite a really, really diverse set of people. So maybe that has contributed to the narrative, of treating people purely based on their competence. So yeah.
I think for most international brands, they are very particular about the work culture, what the brand stands for. So I imagine we are intentional about it. So probably there have been cases and then we like, we do. That's amazing. That was relieving to hear. So before the end of this video, thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for.
It's been a pleasure.
So see you guys soon. Feel free to check Fehintoluwa out on LinkedIn. Yeah, peace out.
Fehintoluwa Dahunsi.